Massive update and a very fun video for the Good Evening Crypto community, guys, as you're going to want to stick around for the entire episode, as today we are talking about how BlackRock's managing director, Robbie Mitchnick, predicted XRP could reach $33 when it's all said and done. The modernization of settlement layers, ETFs entering the market, and the tokenization of real-world assets, all of these positive catalysts are now working in favor of the XRP community, and even BlackRock executives can recognize this opportunity. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Good Evening Crypto, your favorite crypto news related channel. Be sure to smash that like button and subscribe, as you're going to get an update every single day, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. And I wanted to start off today's video with this brand new update for our community, which is talking about how BlackRock's managing director, Robbie Mitchnick, predicted XRP could reach $33 back when he created this price projection. Now, what's interesting about this, Johnny, is it's all encompassing. It's talking about revenue from stablecoins. It's talking about revenue from tokenized assets. But I think what's most important for the XRP community is that a lot of these ideas and use cases were suppressed during the past 4 years because of the lawsuit and political campaign that was ran against the crypto industry. Under the Trump administration going forward, it is companies like Ripple and the XRP ledger that will be allowed to thrive. And once these XRP ETF applications are approved, we won't be speculating anymore. We are going to be actively tracking the inflows. Well, for today's episode, we're going to show our listeners why companies like BlackRock need the XRP ledger over these next 5 or 10 years. So with that being said, here's an update from the All In Crypto podcast talking about the managing director, Robbie Mitchnick, predicting a $33 XRP. Here it is.
Haven't BlackRock filed for a kind of XRP ETF? And is there any links between perhaps BlackRock and XRP and Ripple? And of course, there is, in the form of Robbie Mitchnick, who is the managing director at BlackRock. His official role is head of digital assets at BlackRock. He's been there since 2018. So after he left Ripple, at the same time he published this report to obviously the present day. I mean, he's a very impressive individual, which we'll look at in this one. So $28,000 compressed to trading ranges of $6,000 year to date at the time of publishing. So they actually think Bitcoin was undervalued back then. Now on to XRP, which you all want. And yes, you've seen that correctly.
I just want to give a little bit of context. He is reading directly from the report that Robbie Mitchnick published himself back in 2018 after leaving Ripple before taking the job at BlackRock. So keep this in mind. He understood these ideas and principles before taking the role at BlackRock. Here it is.
XRP's high estimate given in this paper by Robbie Mitchnick is $32.91. Yes, that's right. $32.91 was given.
Guys, if that sounds exciting to you, smash that like button and leave a comment underneath the video. We're going to allow this video to play out, but I think that $32 price target, Johnny, that's life-changing wealth for anyone in the know.
As a high estimate price prediction for XRP by BlackRock's head of digital assets. This is worth listening to me read to get to this point. Their low estimate is $6.37, still 2x plus where we are today. This represents the potential value of XRP in the present value terms. If the success case is realized as a final step, we need to convert this into an expected value based on our simplistic binary model of outcomes. We assign a 25% probability to the XRP success case and assume XRP was effectively worthless with the XRP fail case. Therefore, and this brings it right down, the resulting fundamental value range of between $1.59 to $8.23 compared to the trading range of $0.49 to $3.72 year to date at the time of pushing. So the fundamental value range they're giving you is this, when they factor in their case, which they're giving a 25% probability to. But the fact of the matter is they have given a high estimate of $32.91 here for XRP based on it being successful.
Again, guys, if you agree, smash that like button. Let us know underneath the video. Now, Johnny, I just want to say a couple of words and we'll kick it right to you. He talked about a base case for this asset being anywhere between $1 and $8.23. That was back in 2018. And I think this adds fuel to the fire of the case that I've been making, where I've been saying for a really long time, a $3 XRP in 2025 is undervalued. And our listeners understand this, but newer crypto investors really need to wrap their head around that. Back in 2018, this is an asset that traded higher than we are today. Now we have all of the political developments, all of the realization of these assets, and we're still trading sub $3 or just above that in the summer of 2025. That is why I believe, just like Robbie Mitchnick does, that the price of this asset is still undervalued. And if you believe we reach an $8 XRP during this bull market, let us know underneath the video. Johnny Krypto, what are some of your thoughts when you listen to BlackRock's managing director state that this is an asset that should be anywhere between $6 and $32 when it's all said and done?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's what these analysts do, right? When you're working on a company, you're kind of sitting there and you're putting projections together, and you kind of look at it from I like how he actually put also a fundamental value there between $1.59 and $6 to $8, right? That seems very, very. Think about how crazy of a number that would have been then when XRP was like 22 cents. Or even it could have been even less than that. It might have been around 10 cents back in that time period. And yet here he was making this prediction between 1 and 8. Just shows you the way they were thinking about growing the company and the value of there. And then obviously an upside potential up to $32. I mean, dude, who would be upset with a $32 XRP if you're buying this thing at 10, 20, 30 cents? I mean, that's 100x. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's even 1,000x. It's ridiculous, the growth on that, right? So for me, Abs, I hope that people will be excited. And, I'm glad you got the XRP rich list there, because if we go through this real quick, right? I know there will be some people, Abs, crazy as this sounds, that will be disappointed if we're sitting on a $32 XRP. But the reason why I built this chart is I want everybody to realize, like, guys, look at the $32 column. I mean, if you're in the 5% or above, you're over $250,000. If you're in the 1% club, congratulations, $1,000. It's life-changing money at $32. So I just encourage everybody, be excited. This would be great if when we get to these levels, Abs, that these are definitely going to be profit-taking levels, at least for me. I will be exiting along the way up. I know everybody wants to catch a top and they think it's 100 or 1,000, and that's okay. I'm not selling everything. I will definitely have plenty to go. But I would encourage everybody to be excited, embrace this moment, be happy, take that wealth and change your life, because these are going to be fantastic times coming ahead of us, my friend.
Johnny, this is also on the back of all of these different XRP ETF applications getting approved. So at the time, that was not a part of Robbie's original equation. And I want to give a big shout out to our friend Rob Cunningham, who put out a 12-month price projection and return on investment estimate from Chatgpt. Now, I'm going to make this really short for our listeners. They are estimating that anywhere from $10 to $17 billion worth of inflows could come into the XRP ledger after these products are approved. Now, what would that do for the price? At a base case, we're once again looking at an $8 price target with a high estimate of over $50. So a conservative target for Chatgpt would be anywhere from $8 to $12, very similar to the video we're going to show you guys later on, where Jay Claver is also agreeing with that. We've got an aggressive but plausible case of $20 to $30 and an extreme stress case, meaning the float is locked, the ETFs are live. We could potentially reach about $50. Now, when Chatgpt asks the price projections for XRP 12 months from today, meaning after these ETFs have been out for a year, we are looking at a moderate estimate of $25 to $50, an aggressive estimate of $75 to $100, and an extreme estimate of anywhere between $250 to $500 on the price chart. And that's something that our listeners should be comfortable with after all the updates we've been sharing on this channel. ETFs, stablecoins, tokenization, and the adoption of these assets after the Clarity Act is passed. It's why people like Jay Claver are getting more attention than ever, guys. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button, because we're about to play a really interesting clip from our friend Jake Claver on the Paul Barron podcast. He's discussing his 2025 peak price projection for XRP. And while it may not be $1,000, guys, these are still some life-changing targets. Here it is.
About XRP price going forward. People now putting up the $5 number again. Looks like we might see it pretty soon. What's your theory right now if we start to see XRP moving into the $5 range as Bitcoin, what is it, hitting around 115? I think it hit 116 today. So holding at 115 right now as we record. What's your thought?
Yeah, like I mentioned, if we do get posture from the Fed that they're going to absolutely lower interest rates here next week, early in the week, if they come out and say something like, yeah, we anticipate this much, I do think you're going to see a pop in the market. I think you'd see an expansion in Bitcoin. I think you'd see the Russell breakout.
Yeah.
And that would also, lead to XRP moving along with that, and probably a rotation only if we get some of these ETFs, right? That's kind of the puzzle piece there. So, I don't know that it'll be slow moving. When XRP gets moving, it tends to be pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
Southeast Asia loves XRP.
Yeah.
And when they see it moving, they pile in. Again, I have a full theory on all this, how it gets to extremely high prices, but it's a bunch of catalysts that all kind of culminate for the perfect storm for that to happen. If it's just the ETFs, I think
let's do the bare minimum. Let's say we know ETFs are going to happen, and we're pretty much sure, we're 90% sure we're going to get a rate
on
cut.
the DTC. So, I think a $10 to $13 XRP would be very reasonable. Maybe even $20 to $25 XRP.
End of year or by this time next?
End of year. If we get the ETFs launched this year, I think that you could see that amount of liquidity move in. I think that there's going to be other things that culminate that cause it to go much higher than that.
Right.
But if it was just the ETFs, I think that those price ranges make the most sense.
So Johnny Krypto, we're going to allow this clip to play, but think about the data that we just took our listeners through. Chatgpt came to the conservative target of $8 to $12, and Jake Claver is right around that same range with just the XRP ETFs being approved. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button and let us know some of your thoughts. Johnny Krypto, what's your reaction to Jake coming and saying, listen, from the ETFs alone, we're looking at a $10 XRP?
I couldn't agree with Jake more. In this case, he and I are spot on. I actually feel a very similar way, Abs. I've always felt like a $4 to $6, non-ETF XRP is very, very possible in this bull run. Now, when you start piling on catalysts on top of that, and let's start first with the XRP ETF one, I totally couldn't agree more. Literally, if you had asked me that without playing that video, I would have said $8 to $10 to $12, 100%. I'm in that same zone. So Jake and I and ChatGPT apparently are all in the same case. Now, what's exciting is I don't think it stops there. You know where I'm at. I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but I've been telling you that Clarity Act to me is really going to be the linchpin, I think, to drive a lot of other liquidity into this space like we ain't seen before. And that's when it gets fun. That's when it gets exciting. And that's where it gets stupid. It just gets irrationally exuberant, stupid money comes in, prices go up through the roof, over speculation everywhere. And, you just have to know and understand that game and how that's played so you can take advantage of it. And Abs, we can be seeing, like he said, $20 to $25 XRP. Shit, we might even see, like ChatGPT is saying here, a $50 XRP. May not, in extreme cases, right? And think about what we just talked about. There's a supply shortage right now on Coinbase, for example. Imagine we've got that supply shortage coupled with an XRP launch. And then on top of that, a Clarity Act coming. And then on top of that, the Fed cutting rates. Holy crap. $50, not inconceivable. But again, a lot of these things, we need all these things to line up. But could you make an argument that maybe by the end of the year, all these things start piling on top of each other? I think so. Absolutely. So I don't want to encourage people like, oh, wait for 50. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I can see a path to $50.
I agree, Johnny. And I think it's more important than ever for people to have realistic expectations for what can happen in a bull market for the XRP community. People asked, we delivered. They were asking, what does a $1,000 XRP portfolio look like? Well, to be in the top 20% of token holders on planet Earth, you only need about $1,200 XRP. And if we get to some of these projections that Jake is predicting, well, a $32 XRP, if you have 1,200 units, that's nearly $40,000. If you have 2,400 units, that's nearly $80,000. If you have 10,000 units, a little bit more than that, we're looking at about $340,000. So again, I just want to hammer the point home. We don't need a $100,000, $250,000 XRP in order for our lives to be different. If we see a $10, $12, $30, $50, $100 XRP, the people in this community are going to be living a completely different existence. And I made the joke the other day, back up the Brinks truck. They're going to be house shopping. They're going to be boat shopping. But the truth of the matter in a more serious way is the once in a lifetime opportunity has arrived. And I think that there's a part of that people haven't fully realized yet. When XRP goes through this price explosion, that's the fireworks. That's the show. That's the moment that we have to capitalize on this. And that is why we always talk about having realistic expectations and creating a profit plan using the Merlin application that absolutely works for you. But I did want to end this video by playing another really interesting clip because, Johnny, you talked about the power of the Clarity Act being passed inside the United States? Well, there are executives at the Ethereum Foundation who feel the same way. Here it is.
People say that stablecoins were the ChatGPT moment for Ethereum, which is absolutely true, but I call it the ChatGPT 1.0 moment. The second we have the Clarity Act pass and you can have frameworks for broader tokenization, deeply honored to, I testified in front of Congress about the Clarity Act, about the benefits of it, benefits of decentralization tests. It's been a surreal 6 months, but once the Clarity Act passes, then you're going to get ChatGPT 2.0, which is the tokenization of everything.
Boom, you heard it right there. And his emphasis is on Ethereum because he owns the digital asset Ethereum. But we understand, having a broader conception of this space, the Clarity Act is great for Chainlink. The Clarity Act is great for the XRP ledger. The Clarity Act is great for AVAX as well. So it's not just about Ethereum. It is about the tokenization of real world assets hitting blockchains in a way we've never seen before. And to bring this all back to our initial article, we are talking about the $32 price projection that Robbie Mitchnick, the managing director at BlackRock, put out back in 2018. If you believe XRP reaches $32 in this bull run, smash that like button. If you disagree, leave a comment underneath the video. Still hit that like button anyways. But Johnny Krypto, what's your reaction here? Even the Ethereum executives are admitting the Clarity Act opens the floodgates.
I mean, that's just it. I mean, they get it. Everybody sees it. These people lived through 1996, 97, 98. They understand what it takes for innovation to happen in any space and for liquidity to come into it. It needs laws that allow you to innovate. And right now, our laws don't provide that clarity, i.e. the Clarity Act. And it didn't provide it back in 96 either. You and I wouldn't be talking on the internet if it wasn't for that. But thank God, because of that Telecom Act, we got the internet. And now because of this Clarity Act, we're going to get Web 3.0. We're going to get a whole new entire digital system, the way it operates. But before we get that, we're going to get a ton of institutional money that, like you said rightfully, Abs, is going to come into, yes, Ethereum, yes, Bitcoin, but guess what? It ain't going to go, oh, I'm just going to go those two and stop. No, it's going to come in the XRP. It's going to come into the top 100. It's going to even go into things below the top 100 because these guys are going to go seeking and looking for value in small companies too. But it's going to come into all those XRP, Cardano, Solana, they're all going to benefit. Almost think of it like this way, Abs. The best analogy I can give you, very simple, short, and sweet. A high tide raises all boats, my friend. And yes, people will be looking out there and buying boats, and rightfully so, if they want, with their hard-earned XRP profits.
Well, Johnny Krypto, Paul Barron said it best. He said all of these positive catalysts we've been speculating on are happening here in 2025.
Well, right there, I think the key here, guys, is as we continue to see all of these very bullish signals going forward, they seem to be piling up. And I'm just wondering why we have not seen these parabolic price moves just yet.
Well, remain patient, my friends, as the back end of this year, like we've been saying, it's about to kick off. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the new channel, and we'll see you all in the next one.